When the blood becomes toxic, there's something that happens. Each red blood cell is meant to be an individual unit. And a red blood cell is sort of shaped like a little disc, and it's not hollow, but it's thin in the middle. And they're meant to be able to swivel throughout the bloodstream, and even the little tiny capillaries in the extremities of your fingers and toes and your eyes. Those red blood cells are meant to swivel in there, and they're meant to be independent, and they each carry oxygen and they each carry nutrients. When the blood becomes toxic, what happens is that the red blood cells clump together and it looks like a stack of pancakes. And now we have red blood cells that are all stuck together. This is called sticky blood. And it goes through. So now your red blood cells are going through the system all stuck together. You're not getting as much oxygen. You're not getting the blood flow to the extremities. This is one reason why people start getting, problems, neuropathies in their fingers and their toes and things like that, because the red blood cells aren't feeding the tissues in the extremities, and over time, those tissues become damaged. And this happens with conditions like diabetes commonly, and due to toxins. So again, glutathione can help purify the blood, purify the liver, and help give us healthy blood. In doing that, what does healthy blood do? We can pretty much say that healthy red blood cells will lead to healthy white blood cells. Healthy white blood cells are, what the immune system is related to. So glutathione has a very powerful effect of regulating the immune system. And what does that mean? So when somebody gets, say, a flu, or some kind of other virus, we've had many viruses the last few years that we all have heard about. Um, so the immune system will react. It's meant to have an inflammatory, temporary inflammatory reaction. It gets excited, it goes there, it sees what's foreign, what's not meant to be in the body, it attacks, it does its job. But what happens is when we don't have enough glutathione, then what happens is the body stays in an inflammatory stage, and the body keeps inflaming, keeps overreacting, and then people get these secondary infections, or they can get over the main infection, but then they get a secondary infection. They get something that causes more problems down the road, and the body is meant to, once the infection is over, down regulate and then start clearing out all the debris of all the white blood cells. That's what mucus is. When someone gets a cold or a flu, at some point they create a lot of mucus. A lot of that is just your white blood cells that your body has used in order to handle the invasion of a virus, for example, and now the body's getting rid of it. But if the body doesn't have enough glutathione, then the tendency is to stay in that inflammatory stage and not go into that cleansing, clearing stage, and it can cause a lot of problems. And for viruses, this is in Chinese medicine, for example, there's 6 stages of a virus, and sometimes the body will get stuck in 4 or 5 and never quite clear things out because it stayed in that inflammatory stage. Glutathione is huge in terms of regulating that immune system so that the body can clear it up, can handle it, and then clear out everything that's meant to be cleared out. So it's hugely important for the immune system. And as I mentioned before, again, which it's worth mentioning again, is this oxygenation. Again, it's like Velcro. Without that glutathione, you cannot attach the oxygen molecule to the red blood cell, and thereby the body will not be getting enough oxygen in the process. Oxygen, of course, is hugely important. And some of the viruses that people have experienced is they almost feel like they're gasping for breath. And this is because sometimes these viruses will actually interfere, or they will cause a diminishment of glutathione. Or some people that have an overreaction, if they start out with low stores of glutathione, they're not going to get enough oxygen in the red blood cells. They're not going to be able to regulate the immune system, so therefore going to feel like they're gasping for breath, or they're having a really hard time breathing. It's not just because they have a lung infection or a lung issue, it's because they have a red blood cell lack of oxygen issue in the red blood cells. So we can see again how incredibly important glutathione is for the body. So